Well, we fellas that hung around together were all Navy. One of these days we're going to all go into the Navy. So at Castle Field, which was Merced Field at that time, the government had some cadets, Air Force cadets, training out there. Old FDR knew we were going to war, but we despised them. We fellas that were teenagers, we despised them. And every time they'd have a parade, we'd harass them. We'd say, hey, Boy Scouts, Western Union. And of all the 5 or 6 guys that we ran around with, well, the reason we despised them because that uniform they were wearing, they were stealing our girlfriends. We couldn't have that. So anyway, we harassed them during the time we had. And anyway, later on, I paid for it. All the fellas we ran around with, I was the only one that got paid for bad-mouthing those poor guys. And when it was our turn to come up, we reached the draft age, and we were all called up at the same time, the fellows that we hung around with, and we went to Fresno to get our initial thing they were going to do to us. And we found out at that time that FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, trying to build the armies, he said, anybody who goes into service now can have their choice of service. You go in, you choose whatever branch of service you want. Oh, there we are, Navy, Navy, Navy. There we go on the bus trip to Fresno. We went through our physicals, and there was 3 tables there. The Army, Navy, Marines. We passed our physical, and each table they asked you what you chose. Well, we went alphabetically. I'm Soria, so I'm at the end of the line. Get to my turn, the Marine table asked me, well, what did you choose? I said, Navy. Boom, stamped my papers. And I went to the Navy table. What did you choose? Navy. Stamped my papers. The last table was the Army table. Sergeant was there. He was a recruiter. He said, well, what did you choose? Navy, Navy, that's what I chose. And he said, well, he asked a real simple question. Oh, what do you got against the Army? And I said, well, no, I guess it's an okay outfit. Boom, you're in the Army. I said, hey, wait a minute. I chose the Navy. Roosevelt said that we could have our choice. He said, well, I'm sorry, the Navy quota is filled today. You got to go in the Army. I said, well, wait, that's not fair. That's not fair. He said, well, go upstairs to room 5, talk to them. I went up to room 5, and the guy said, well, I'm sorry, he was right. The Navy quota is filled today. You got 10 days to report to duty. So I was very sad all the way home on the bus. And all my buddies that I hung around with, they were Navy, 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 they were saying, hey, Boy Scout, Western Union. He really gave it to me. Well, we had 10 days to report. I was sick. I was really sick. And my best friend, Lino Garcia, we spent 10 days and he said, well, hey, you know, Roosevelt said you'd have your choice. He said, why don't we write him a letter? So he and I sat down on my front porch. They didn't have ballpoint pens then. I had some green ink. And I said, here, FDR. I told him all what happened to me. I prefer the Navy. My folks came from the old country. And I'm glad they're here. I'm willing to fight for my country and even maybe die for my country. Very hard. So anyway, we wrote the letter and I said, I'll probably be in the Army somewhere in the country. And if you can do anything about my case, I can be reached at my home. Well, anybody got an appointment yet? Nope, not yet. Okay. So anyway, 10 days went by, and I got sent to, what is that, Fort Ord? No, Monterey Presidio. And the rest of my guys all went to Idaho, to the Navy boot camp. Well, there I was in the Army. And I guess where they sent me. I'm 5'3", 112 pounds. They sent me to the 749th MP Battalion. Those guys are about 200 pounds, about 7 feet tall. Well, there I was, an MP, military police. So I was there 2 months. I met some guys from Oakland and San Francisco. Really nice guys. We went out for a couple of beers. They introduced me to all their girlfriends. I was happy. Happy as a lark. I just put that other Navy thing out of my mind. I had forgotten all about the Navy. So, here comes Sergeant. I remember his name, Sergeant Boyega. It's been over 75 years. Soria, I want to see you at my office. He's holding up a piece of paper. He said, do you know you can be court-martialed? I said, what do you mean? By going over the command. Did you write a letter to the President of the United States? I about fell over. Well, anyway, the letter was the Western Defense Command, and it stated that I had been relieved from the Army, I'm discharged from the Army, and you have been recommended for discharge from the Army for immediate enlistment into the Navy. The sergeant said, oh, he was mad. He loved his Army. He said, you know, you're not out of here yet. It says you have been recommended for discharge. Well, I don't know how far that goes. He said, you're not out of here yet. So anyway, I went home from my grandfather's funeral. My sister had the copy of the same letter. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, I went back. The sergeant looked at me. Nothing happened. 2 weeks went by, and I was sweating it out. And then here he comes again. And he says, get your duffel bag and get the H out of here. So they dumped me in an MP Jeep, took me into San Francisco to the Federal Building, dropped me off. You know, the guy, he sent me to the Army recruiter. The guy read my papers and said, oh, okay. But before you leave here, you have to take a physical. Drop your drawers and we'll check you out. Got done, signed papers, put my clothes on. He said, now you got to go down the hall to the Navy people. Check in with them. I go over there, and the guy reads my papers. So, great. He said, well, we're going to put you on a train, and but you got to have a physical here before you leave. 2 physicals in an hour. I get on a train, we travel all night to Los Angeles Federal Building. I'm still in my Army uniform. And the whole line of draftees waiting to get checked out at the Federal Building. He said, hey, what are you, armed guard or what? No, I said, I'm in the Army, but I'm going to go to the Navy. So we go up to the office, I checked in, the guy said, oh yeah, okay, you line up with those guys over there, line up there. And, okay, you guys, Get your clothes off, you gotta have the physical. Another physical. So, anyway, they finished there, I go to the desk, and the guy signed my papers, and he said, okay, we'll give you money to get home. You're out of the Army. I said, well, when do I go in the Navy? Well, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, it says here that you're out of the Army. Go to that building over there and they'll pay you off. I think they gave me $21 or something like that. So I get on the train, I said, oh boy. He said, but you better go to the recruiter there because the same thing will happen to you again. So I get on the train, and I said, man, I'll be home for the Saturday night dance, because I love to dance. Used to love to dance. So I go to Merced, I go to the Saturday night dance, and I went to the recruiter, signed up right away, got that out of the way, so we will let you know. Well, that was about Wednesday. Here comes the telegram. Return immediately for your enlistment. I get back on the train, go all the way down to Los Angeles again, and I get there, it's about 4 in the afternoon. This guy said, where in the H have you been? I said, well, I told that guy I was supposed to go in the Navy right away. He said, well, it's 4 o'clock. We're all done here. You'll have to come back Monday. We'll get you a hotel room. So guess what? I'm in a hotel room all weekend, just sitting there looking at the walls. Well, I sweated it out. Monday morning it came down. Finally, I'm in civilian clothes. I'm headed for San Diego boot camp. So anyway, I get down there, break me in, give me a boot number, and all of you young kids that probably will go into the service later on, I want to warn you about one thing. Do not volunteer for anything. Anyway, we're all lined up, and this Moses mate says, okay, I need some help. We got a lot of construction going on here. How many sign painters in here? Well, I do artwork and I do cartoons. Boy, I raised my hand. Okay, get up here. How many truck drivers? Here's the guys raising their hand to get over there. Well, guess what? I volunteered, you know, those guys. I ended up painting table lamps in the mess hall. And the guys that volunteer for truck driving were pushing wheelbarrows with cement. So do not volunteer unless it's something you really know about. Anyway, I shortened it up, and here I am, United States Navy.